Stop scrolling for 1 second, because I need to tell you something nobody in the fashion industry wants you to know. If you're under 5'4" and proudly over 60, there's a 2-inch detail hiding in almost every blouse you own that is quietly making you look shorter, heavier, and years older than you actually are. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is and exactly how to fix it tonight for free with clothes you already own. Have you ever bought a beautiful blouse, rushed home excited to wear it, put it on and looked in the mirror only to feel like the fabric was wearing you instead of the other way around? The sleeves bunch at your wrists, the shoulders sag halfway down your arms, the hem falls at some strange, unflattering length that makes your legs look like they simply stopped existing. Suddenly, you're not looking chic, you're looking like you borrowed something from someone else's closet, someone taller, someone the pattern maker actually had in mind when they cut that blouse. It's deflating, it's frustrating, and it happens over and over again at every store with every new season until you start to believe the problem is you. It isn't. And here's the part I want you to really hear, because it changes everything. Your body is not the problem. It never was. The proportions of the clothes are the problem. Almost every piece of ready-to-wear clothing on a standard rack is drafted for a 5'6" to 5'7" frame. If you are shorter than that, and most women are by the time we're past 60, you are not wearing clothes designed with your body in mind. You're wearing clothes designed for someone else, and then quietly blaming yourself when they don't sit right. Welcome to Timeless Style Living, where we talk about style after 60 the honest way. No fluff, no filler, no pretending you need to spend a fortune to look put together. Style after 60 is not about disappearing into oversized layers, and it's definitely not about obeying some outdated rule book that tells women our age to fade quietly into the background. Here's a controversial opinion, and I mean this one sincerely. I think most of the age-appropriate dressing advice that's been handed down for decades was written by people who genuinely wanted women over 60 to be invisible. Cover the arms, cover the neck, nothing too bright, nothing too fitted, nothing that draws the eye, as if being seen was something we were supposed to grow out of. I don't buy it, and I don't think you should either. Tell me in the comments if you agree, or tell me I'm completely wrong. I read every single one, and I promise I won't take it personally. Here's the real truth underneath all of it. Style is math. It's a math of lines, fabric, and cut that lets your personality walk into the room before the outfit does, instead of the outfit doing all the talking for you and leaving you standing quietly behind it. Being petite and over 60 is not a limitation to work around. It's a style superpower once you actually understand how to use it, because the same small adjustments that flatter a petite seam also happen to be the exact adjustments that read as effortless, expensive, and intentional on any body. Today, I'm breaking down 7 tips that will instantly elongate your silhouette, bring youthful energy back into your wardrobe, and have you feeling effortlessly put together, starting with the very next thing you put on tomorrow morning. No tailor, no expensive shopping trip, no new budget required. Just small, deliberate shifts you make with clothes already hanging in your closet right now. Tip number 4 is the one almost nobody in this space talks about, and it might be the single biggest change you make all year. So stick with me, because we're going to build up to it properly. And before we go any further, hit subscribe to Timeless Style Living right now before you get distracted, because this is exactly the kind of practical, no-cost styling video we post every single week, and I don't want you to miss the next one.
Let's start at the very top. Tip number 1 is the neckline. And it might be the fastest transformation on this entire list, the kind of thing you can test in front of your mirror in the next 3 minutes. High crew necks, heavy turtlenecks, and stiff, fully buttoned collars can quietly box you in more than you'd ever guess just by looking at them on a hanger. They cover the neck, which shortens your entire upper body and makes your torso look compressed, almost stacked, like your head is sitting directly on your shoulders with nothing in between. If you've ever put on a top and thought, why does this make me look shorter? Or why does this make me look heavier than I actually am? A high neckline is very often the hidden culprit. Nobody tells you this, you just feel it. You can't quite name it, and then you blame yourself. Or worse, you blame your body, when the real issue was sitting right there on the hanger the whole time. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. It's what I call the V-neck effect. By opening the space just below your chin, a V-neck draws the eye vertically, both upward toward your face and downward toward your collarbone at the same time. It creates one long, uninterrupted line of sight that gives the illusion of a longer neck and a taller frame, instantly, without you doing a single other thing. And I promise you, this does not mean plunging necklines or anything dramatic or out of your comfort zone. A modest V, a soft wrap blouse, or simply leaving the top 2 buttons of a crisp white shirt undone works beautifully. It opens up your face, lets light actually reach your collarbone, and looks effortlessly timeless rather than trying too hard. Try it tonight in the mirror and watch what happens to your whole silhouette in about 3 seconds. You'll see it before I even need to explain it further. Now that your neckline is doing the heavy lifting, let's talk about something almost every petite woman over 60 has struggled with at least once, and that's tip number 2, the sleeves. You already know this feeling. You buy a standard size blouse, and the sleeves are somehow always about 2 inches too long. They swallow your hands, bunch at your wrists, and drag your whole upper body downward with unnecessary bulk exactly where you don't want it. It makes your arms look shorter, it makes your hands disappear into fabric, and honestly, it makes the whole outfit feel heavier than it needs to, even in the middle of summer. The fix here is what I call the 3/4 sleeve trick, and once you see it working, you cannot unsee it. By exposing your wrists and forearms, which are naturally the narrowest, most elegant parts of your arm, you instantly lighten the entire look. It breaks up a heavy block of fabric, tricks the eye into reading longer lines, and adds a kind of dynamic energy that a long sleeve simply cannot give you, no matter how nicely it's cut. Look for blouses with built-in 3/4 sleeves, or just give your existing long sleeves a casual, artful roll to the elbow. Nothing precise, nothing that needs to look perfect, just a relaxed fold that sits naturally. And here's a little bonus nobody mentions. This move puts your favorite watch, your bangles, your stacked bracelets right on display, exactly where people's eyes naturally land when they're talking to you. It's a small detail that quietly does a lot of work. If you're finding this useful so far, do me a quick favor and tap that like button right now, because it tells me you want more of these no-cost styling fixes, and it genuinely helps this video reach other women who need to hear it too. And if you haven't subscribed to Timeless Style Living yet, this is exactly the kind of video we post every single week, so hit that subscribe button before you keep watching. Neckline sorted, sleeves sorted. Now for tip number 3. And this one trips up more women than any other single thing on this list. Patterns, and why scale is everything. We walk into a boutique, we see a bold, dramatic print, and we think, that's gorgeous. And it is gorgeous on the hanger, but on a smaller frame, massive patterns with sharp color contrast act like a visual speed bump. They chop your silhouette into pieces, cutting your body into visual segments instead of one flowing line. And honestly, the pattern ends up walking into the room a full 3 seconds before you do. Nobody wants to be introduced by their blouse. You want people to see you first and the outfit second. The secret weapon instead is monochromatic pairing, or at minimum, low contrast prints. When your blouse matches the undertone or color family of your pants or skirt, you create one continuous, seamless column of color. There's no harsh line cutting you in half, so the eye glides effortlessly from head to toe, and you read as taller and far more polished than the exact same outfit broken into contrasting pieces. If you love pattern and don't want to give it up, and you shouldn't have to, look for micro prints, delicate vertical stripes, or soft watercolor designs where the colors blend rather than compete for attention. It keeps things elevated instead of chaotic, interesting instead of overwhelming. You already know this feeling. And speaking of long, unbroken lines, this brings us to the tip I promised you earlier. Tip number 4, the one almost nobody in this space is talking about. This is where so many petite women get stuck, and it comes down to one deceptively simple question. What do you actually do with the bottom of the blouse? Leave it long and fully untucked, and it visually cuts your legs off at an awkward point, making your whole lower half look shorter than it actually is. Do a full tight tuck all the way around, and it can feel rigid, uncomfortable, restrictive, and it sometimes draws exactly the kind of attention to your midsection that you were trying to avoid in the first place. So what's the middle ground that stylists actually use behind the scenes? It's called the French tuck, sometimes called the half tuck, and it takes about 3 seconds once you know how. Here's exactly how it works. Take a small section of your blouse, right at the very front center, and tuck just that piece gently into your pants or skirt. Let the sides and back fall loose over your hips, completely untouched. By exposing just the front of your waistband, you establish exactly where your waist is, which visually elongates your leg line and creates definition. But because the sides and back stay untucked, you get a soft, forgiving drape that skims over the hips while still looking modern and completely effortless, like you didn't think about it at all, even though you absolutely did. It works on a casual t-shirt with jeans. It works on a silk blouse for a night out. It instantly makes an outfit look intentionally styled instead of just thrown on in a hurry. If you've never tried it, this is the one I want you to test in front of a mirror today, right now if you can, because the before and after is honestly a little shocking the first time you see it on yourself. I've had clients audibly gasp in my fitting room over nothing more than 3 seconds of fabric adjustment. But maybe you already know you hate tucking anything in, full stop, no exceptions. And that's completely fair. So stay with me, because tip number 5 was made exactly for you. If you're someone who wants to leave your blouse out untucked, no compromise, that is absolutely allowed. There's no rule against it. But there's one detail you cannot skip, and that's the hemline. Stiff, boxy blouses that cut straight across your hips create a harsh horizontal line, and on a petite frame, that line functions almost like a visual stop sign. It cuts off your legs and makes you look both wider and shorter at the same time, which is the exact opposite of what we're going for here. The secret is choosing curved hemlines over boxy, straight-cut ones. Look for a gentle scoop hem or a shirt tail hem, one that dips slightly lower at the front and back, but curves upward at the sides. Because the fabric rises at your hips instead of cutting straight across, it breaks that harsh horizontal line and reveals a little more leg from the side profile. It softens everything, drapes beautifully over your curves, and lets you wear a longer top without ever feeling swallowed by it. This one detail matters enormously with casual tunics and lightweight summer linens especially, the exact pieces so many of us reach for without thinking twice. So next time you're shopping, before you even try something on, run your hand along the hem. A little curve goes a long, long way, and it takes about 2 seconds to check. Now, a great hemline is only half the equation. To keep a petite frame perfectly balanced, we need to zoom into the smaller details. And that's tip number 6. Have you ever tried on a blouse that fit beautifully through the shoulders, but something in the mirror just felt slightly off and you couldn't quite name what it was? 9 times out of 10, it's the details. In fashion, everything is a question of scale, proportion sitting quietly underneath every single garment, whether we notice it consciously or not. On a smaller frame, oversized elements, massive ruffles, giant breast pockets, huge wide collars can completely overwhelm you. Instead of looking elegant, the blouse starts to look like it's wearing you rather than the other way around. And that is the exact trap we talked about at the very beginning of this video. The golden rule here is simple. Scale everything down. Look for narrow collars, slim plackets, the fabric strip where the buttons sit, and smaller, more subtle buttons rather than large statement ones. If you love romantic touches like ruffles or pleating, and plenty of us do, seek out micro pleats or soft vertical gathers instead of heavy, stiff volume that adds bulk exactly where you don't need it. When every detail stays proportional to your frame, attention naturally returns to your face, which is exactly where it belongs, instead of getting stuck on an oversized collar or a pocket the size of a dinner plate. It's a tiny tweak, genuinely tiny, but it's the difference between an off-the-rack blouse and one that looks custom-made for you specifically. We've now covered necklines, sleeves, patterns, tucking, hemlines, and details, but the seventh and final tip might be the single most important one on this entire list because it changes how every other tip actually performs on your body. This is fabric weight, and I promise you, once you understand this, you will never shop the same way again. You can nail the perfect neckline and the perfect sleeve length, follow every single rule we just covered to the letter, but if the fabric itself is too stiff, none of it will work the way it's supposed to. Heavy, stiff fabrics, thick starched cottons, heavy denim stand away from the body rather than moving with it. On a petite frame, that creates what stylists call a tent effect, and it makes you look boxier and wider than you actually are, even in a perfectly cut blouse with all the right proportions. What you want instead are fabrics that flow with your movement. Silk, rayon, high-quality viscose, a beautifully soft washed linen blend. These materials don't add bulk. They skim the body, cascading downward into one smooth, continuous vertical line that elongates your entire silhouette without you doing anything extra at all. Here's a trick I use every single time I shop, and I want you to try it this week. Hold the blouse over the back of your hand. If the fabric stands stiffly in place, holding its own shape, put it back. But if it falls smoothly over your knuckles like water, that's the one. That's your winner every time, no matter what the tag says or how the blouse looks folded on a shelf.
Let me tell you about a woman I styled a few months ago. I'll call her Diane because her story is exactly why I make these videos. Diane came to me convinced she'd simply have to accept looking frumpy, her word, not mine, for the rest of her life. She was 5'2", 71 years old, and she told me she'd stopped buying anything but black because at least black didn't make things worse. We didn't buy a single new item that day. We went straight to her closet. We opened 3 buttons on a blouse she already owned and created a soft V. We rolled the sleeves on a blazer she'd worn maybe twice in 5 years. We French tucked a plain white t-shirt into the same jeans she wore every weekend. 15 minutes, $0 spent, and she stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize the reflection in the best possible way. She told me she felt like she'd been carrying the wrong instruction manual for her own body for a decade, and nobody had ever handed her the right one. That's exactly what today's video is, the right instruction manual, the one nobody hands you. So let's bring all 7 of these together. Because here's the truth underneath everything we just covered. Style after 60 was never about trying to look taller for the sake of it, and it was certainly never about hiding behind mountains of fabric out of fear of being seen. It's about celebrating exactly who you are right now, feeling completely comfortable in your own skin, and letting your clothes finally reflect the confident, vibrant woman you've spent an entire lifetime becoming. When your clothes fit your actual proportions, instead of some generic size chart designed for someone else's body, something shifts. You stand differently, you feel unstoppable, and it shows before you even say a word to anyone. Now I want to hear directly from you. Which of these 7 tips are you trying first? Are you already a devoted fan of the French tuck? Or is the curved hemline the one you're testing on your next shopping trip? Tell me in the comments below, because I read every single one. And honestly, some of the best tips I share on this channel started as a comment someone left on a video just like this one. If this video helped you look at your closet a little differently today, do 3 quick things for me before you go. Give it a thumbs up because it genuinely helps this channel reach more women just like you who are searching for exactly this kind of advice. Share it with a friend who needs to hear that her body was never the problem. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe to Timeless Style Living because every single week I'm breaking down another practical, research-backed styling secret made specifically for women over 60 who refuse to fade into the background. And here's something worth knowing before you click away. Next week's video covers the one color mistake that makes even a perfectly tailored outfit look 10 years older, and it has nothing to do with what you'd expect. If you're not subscribed, you will miss it completely when it drops, so don't let this be the last time we do this together. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you want more styling secrets like this one, Timeless Style Living is where I share them first, every single week, so make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are turned on because you do not want to miss what's coming next. Stay stylish, stay confident, and I'll see you in the very next video.